Everybody, lumberjack landlord here. Good morning, everybody. Whew, it's been an amazing week, as you guys see. Different background back here. Here, we're gonna actually close this door. Oh, there we go. We are sitting in the Airbnb, hanging out. I was corrected many times by Michael because I've never taken a trip before. I've only taken a vacation, and so now I no longer take vacations. I take trips. That's what I've been told. So that's what we're on. We're on a trip. But excited to be here with you guys this morning. Share a lot of the things that I learned there at the ORAAT event. It was absolutely spectacular. You guys absolutely have to go next year. It is by far the most valuable show I've ever been to. I got the chance to speak, which was amazing, and I got to do it with my buddies, with Millennial Mike, Zub, and Dion. So it was a fantastic time to be able to speak with them, but also just being able to meet all of you. For those of you who were able to make it, it was amazing to be able to meet you. It was amazing to be able to interview many of you. And if you didn't get interviewed, don't worry. There's always next year because I'll be more prepared next year. Mike and Dion are game. We're game ready to do a bunch of interviews, and I was not. I was just excited to go and hang out at the event. But it was an absolutely fantastic time. Speakers were phenomenal. Getting private time with a lot of those guys and having them interview me and me interview them. I think some of the biggest takeaways, I think what was really interesting, and sorry if you guys hear the baby crying in the background, there's the monitor. I didn't take it out before I started the show. The wonders of staying in an Airbnb. But I think it's just it was absolutely spectacular. I think the biggest takeaway that I would want everybody to hear from the show that they probably didn't get to experience themselves. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this to the camera. But on new laptop, new everything. So yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I think, like I said, one of the most amazing things. One of the most amazing things that I heard that I wished you all could have seen the presentation from Coach was, he just brought up a number of slides, one example after another, of people that have achieved financial freedom, and they didn't do it with 100 units. There was one that actually did it with 1,000 units, and then there were some that just did it with 10. And so the thing that many people forget is the first 5 years, because it is so hard. There's so much to it. It's such heavy lifting. One of the biggest challenges in that first 5 years, again, is the fact that you are largely still living paycheck to paycheck. You are largely not making it. Every single expense that comes up, right? It's like, oh my word, a roof. Oh my word, a hot water heater, because you need time, to basically create that savings. In order to put yourself in a position where you can afford to do a $20,000 roof or a $25,000 roof or a $12,000 roof. A lot of times you're having to really save to get to that point. And, that can be the biggest challenge, right? Is in the first couple of years, you have a heating system go, and then boom, there goes all your profit for a couple of years, and you're having to dip into your own finances. And so the biggest challenge in that, as you can imagine, is that you're just not financially prepared for it. So I completely empathize. I was in that same boat, like I said, except I was in there for longer because, sadly, when I started investing, within a few years, we were in the Great Recession. And so forget about all this appreciation and all this stuff that I got to see. I didn't really get to see any of that. New Hampshire was a much more stable market. And so what ended up happening was we get hit with the Great Recession, and properties didn't drop 100% or 50%. I mean, like some of these other ones, or go up 100% is what I meant to say. And so the challenging part was just managing that. But one of the things that I think is really fantastic, that Coach talked about, was really just that concept of not needing 150 doors. From our perspective, I don't know that I would have grown any differently, because I knew that I wanted to retire sooner and faster. I wanted to retire in my 40s. Thank God we were able to do that. But that was the biggest thing, was I wanted to be able to retire in my 40s. And I knew that I needed mass to be able to get there, because the idea was, over time, some of those assets, as they become matured, or as we get through it, the idea for me is that now I can start selling off some assets. So there's definitely assets that we're going to sell off. We actually have 2 that we're going to be selling off when I get back. We're going to be doing the listing sheets and all that other good stuff. So we're going to sell 2 when I get back. On top of selling, and one of them is like a waterfront lake property. So it's a perfect time of year in New England to be able to selling that, is getting that on the market for April, because people want to get in there and basically start their plan for the summertime. And then the other one is just a regular old single family house, but it's a big single family. It's a 2,400 square foot or 2,200 square foot, 5-bed, 2-bath, single family house, New Englander, that was built in the late 1880s. So great unit. But yeah, I can't thank you guys all enough for the extremely warm reception. I can't thank you guys all enough for coming up to and introducing yourselves, because no one wore name tags. I think I'd love to kind of see name tags, maybe, only because I think that way people know exactly who they are. And so that poor guy, I think it was Nationwide Flips, that poor guy that looked like me. And the only reason I say he looked like me is because he's younger. But that poor guy that looked like me, I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny. I understand by seeing on camera how tall and short people are. Frank Contreras, old REI guy, that was my biggest shock. He was a giant. I was like, I couldn't believe it was him. But then, yeah, we see it with Millennial Mike and Zoob, and just kind of finally getting together with everybody and kind of seeing and meeting in person. But it was a lot of months. But yeah, I think that it's hard. This real estate investing is hard. I want to always give you guys a sounding board and a place where you guys can come and hang out and ask any question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. And so, yeah, I'm honored to be part of this community and thrilled. And for those of you guys who missed the announcement, Ashley and I are actually opening next year's event. So, Ashley was she was surprised and excited, and it was a different response than I expected from her. And her answer was, well, I've got a year to prepare. I'm like, a year to prepare. But big shoes for Jason and for us to fill Jason and Jen's shoes, and try and start the conference off with a bang. But super excited to be there. See you guys next year. It was a great time this last year. And now we just have to look at Dion hitting his 50,000 so he can do an event. That's, I think, probably the best thing for us to look at. So you guys did miss a phenomenal time. You really did. You missed an absolutely fantastic event if you didn't go. So I would strongly encourage you, make it a priority. It's room up with guys at Airbnbs. Here's what's really funny. And I was thinking about this. One of my friends was making fun of me. He goes, only you retire and have what you have and decide to split an Airbnb with 6 people. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, what are you doing? He goes, get your own place. I go, I don't mind. I was like, we had so much fun. Obviously, I love hanging out with Mike and Dion and other guests. But Hyder came over. Hyder came over. He became part of the house because we actually ended up with an extra room. And Justin Canberra, who was a blast to hang out with. It was really a good time. That dude's doing it right, man. Being able to vacation, how much he vacations. He's like, yeah, going like, a couple of weeks of vacation every quarter. I'm like, this is a couple weeks of vacation every decade, whether I need to or not. A little bit more difficult with 4 kids, but I've not had the kids for that long. So, yeah, awesome community. Become an active part. Share your journey with others, because that's how we're going to make the biggest impact on people. So very exciting stuff. So let's jump into it. Let's get to some of your guys' questions. And if you're wondering if I'm going to go the full time today, I am going to go the full time today. It's 8:30 here on the West Coast, so it's actually kind of nice because it's not in the middle of my day. Then go hang out, and I got another almost week here in Vegas to hang out. We've done so much stuff, and you guys have seen some of it on Instagram. But Oscar, good morning. Good to have you here. The Yoder, good morning, all. I learned a lot at the ORAAT event. So humbling. It made me realize that I need to step up my game and how far behind I am. It's a great day to be a landlord. Yoder, you're not far behind at all. You guys gotta really. The one thing that I can tell you is you guys aren't far behind. You guys are infinitely further ahead than the people who haven't started. Think about that. The hardest part is starting, and you guys are doing that. And so don't be in a rush to hurry up. What you often heard, right, is it feels like, and that's kind of a winner's mentality, right? Is you always feel behind, you always feel like you haven't measured up, you always feel like you're trying to get there because you're always striving, right? So that really is kind of that winner's mentality. Even when I was at 400% of my number as a sales guy, I was just like, I need more. It was more. I got to get more. I got to get more. I got to get more. The thing that I would tell you is that so many people that I talk to that have been on the journey for 10, 12, 15 years, I don't want to say accidental millionaires because it's not accidental. It was planned, but it is that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Just do it right. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And the biggest thing is, one of the things that I'm really passionate about in my course, for those of you who have taken it, you've seen, it's being able to hold and maintain that asset, right? We need to stop thinking about this as property management. We need to think about this as asset management. I'm going to be talking a lot more about this in 2024, is asset management, because it's not just a matter of taking care of the property and fixing a leak and doing this and doing that. It really is asset management and understanding what the asset is, understanding if it's time to sell it, understanding if it's time to move on from that asset. We have assets this year. We're not net sellers by any stretch, but we are going to sell a couple of assets this year at a minimum, if not 2 or 3 more. There's a couple buildings that I just, we've seasoned them, we've gotten them where we've had tenants in there consistently, but we're now just in a place where it's like, I don't like the kind of tenants that building gets. I don't, and it's always a struggle. It's struggle bus with that building just all the time. It's always, fixing stupid. And it's just, I don't know what it is about those couple of buildings. And so you get a couple of those in your portfolio when you start to get of size, and you need to move on. Just because, hey, maybe it's me. Maybe I just don't manage that asset properly, although we do it the same way we do our other. And so if I have a couple of outliers, I tend to think it's the building. But that being said, that's likely what we're going to do. We're selling 2 at least. And then we're going to probably sell a couple more this summer. Just because I don't think they're assets that fit us anymore, and that will create some capital. And then we'll figure out what we do with that. But, yeah, Yoder, you're not going too slow. The only thing that you guys need to step up your game on is learning. Is if you want to step up your game, it's learning more. It's just learning more. It's learning more. It's investing in yourself. Somebody put out a post yesterday. Autumn, who's one of the people that I follow, she's a double wide queen. Love speaking with her. She's so real. We get along great, in my eyes anyway, because I just absolutely adore her. I think she's phenomenal. But watching her, she put a post up that said, hey, courses aren't necessary to start investing. I completely agree with you. Courses are 100% not important, to start investing. However, if you do courses, if you do a course, you are guaranteed to make fewer mistakes. It's basically guaranteed. And so what you have to look at is, does it make sense to spend $17,000 on a course to not make a mistake? No, I'd probably rather make the mistake. But to spend $1,000 on a course, that was the logic that I used. And kind of when I was trying to price it, was I wanted something that was an investment in themselves, but also that was affordable, that said, I know that this is going to return multiple fold of this, even in the first year of actual investing. So that's really the way that I looked at it, was giving you guys systems and processes that I think could make your journey better as you start to acquire assets. Dividend Dave, hello, sir. Good to have you here. Gary Hard. Matt Bittner, how do you think Section 8 program will respond to millions of people coming into the country? Matt, that's a great question. In fact, Hyder wrote it down and gave it to me, and so I was actually going to address that today. So Section 8 has expanded more in the last 4 years. Any correlation? Is it correlation or causation? It's expanded more in the last 4 years than it had ever in history, ever. It's massive expansion. And what's interesting about it is that still many of these organizations, it's because how they typically had approved people in the past was it was not a very high barrier of entry to get Section 8 housing. And now the numbers are so skewed. It's it's hard to qualify. But now it's much easier to qualify. But there's not nearly enough vouchers. So I want to say that we'd gone from about 2 million vouchers to about 2.25 or 2.3 million in the last few years. They're going to continue to try to expand that. I think what it does, in all honesty, Bittner, is it actually is going to service slumlords. This is where a slumlord will let, no credit, no income, no nothing, basically move in, or not, they'll prove income, or they'll do it in cash, and they'll overcharge. Right? They'll overcharge for what the asset's actually worth because it wouldn't rent for that in the market. But then you'll have 6 or 8 people trying to get a place, or trying to, shack up in a place. Yes, illegal, but they'll be out there. They'll do jobs. They'll find ways to get on programs in some cases, but they'll find ways to get money, and they will. So I think that Section 8 will continue to expand, especially as wages don't compare to inflation. But even as it expands, it's still a pretty small number, all in all. I hate the program personally, for one core reason, which is I see far too many people on it that are abusing it. Getting a voucher for a single mom with 2 kids, and yet she has a live-in boyfriend that she's lying to them about. We've found those cases and we've reported them. It's not the right thing. It's just, you got to play by the rules, especially if you're taking my tax dollars. But yeah, it's going to expand. It's going to continue to expand. It depends on who gets in office, because that's a party line. It just is. No matter which way you vote. Wealth Building Journey. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chester. Old REI guy. There's Frank Contreras himself, the gentle giant. So great meeting you and your wife. It was one of the best parts of the show for me. Rich Camino, great morning, and everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Luke Devine, what does it mean, something held by title? Luke, can you give me a little bit more detail, like the conversation, like what it was about? It could mean a number of things. I just want to make sure I get it right. So give me more detail, and I'll try and hit you with that. Oh, we see a super chat. Let me just roll down and see what that super chat is. Holy cow. Old REI guy. Oh, thanks, Frank. It was awesome to meet you. We spent about $8,000 on various memberships. I'm sure it's helped us move ahead in line towards our goals. That's great feedback, Frank. And that's the thing is, if you don't have enough money to invest in yourselves and speed up that path, and if you don't, the challenge is that you will spend money on mistakes. You will spend money on problems. You will buy the wrong house in many cases. It's just, again, it's something I wish that I had. It's really something I wish I had. I didn't have it. I was just so bummed. Because I made so many mistakes, guys, that first 3 years. Like literally the name of the course, "Oh shit, I'm a landlord," came from the fact that I was sitting at the closing table and I was completely out of my depth. I didn't have any idea what the next step was, and I was scared out of my mind. And I was like, what did I just do? And, coming to find out, like I said, there were no real courses then. So that was really painful for sure. Yeah. So yeah, Luke, sorry if you can add something else on that being held by title. It could be in a couple of different things. I just want to make sure I'm answering with more detail. Mandy W, good morning. Good to see you here. Wealth Building Journey. Let's do breakout rooms next year. Like Millennial Mike had a great idea with that. Yeah, we talked to Zub about that. I think he's looking at, he's already signed up for the event. I think he's looking at some format changes. But we'll see. We're the REI Avengers are always up for whatever Zub decides he wants to do. We're just excited to play a part. BuzzTune, good morning. Robert Fernelli, good morning, sir. Chris Wissing, good morning. Still processing the trip. What a great event. Matt, thank you for taking the time. It was great meeting you. Chris, it was great meeting you too. And you're, like I said, I know that one of the things that we talked about was kind of the position that you're in. You're in an amazing position, Chris. You really are. Yeah, I would I look forward to seeing what you do over the next 12, 24 months, because I think you can make a huge impact and do some cool stuff, depending on what you decide. So I think that'll be great. Josh Burdick, good morning. For those of you guys, you guys should definitely check out Josh on I think it was on Instagram or Facebook that you posted it. He did a fantastic 3-minute montage of the event that made me feel like I was there. So and I was like, man, that really captured a lot of the cool stuff from the event. So it was good. Morning, Hyder. Good to see you here. Hit the like and encourage Matt to do a property giveaway. Yeah. As soon as Graham Stephan does a he can augment that with his YouTube earnings. Hold on one second. I'm hearing crazy noise. Goodness gracious. Yeah, my 4 kids, we're having a blast. We have the part-time nanny. It came with us on the trip. And then we also have her boyfriend is here now with us as well, Blake, who also works for me, and decided to invite him along for some of the trip. And it was awesome. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun having them around. So let's see. Robert Friendly, I am 6 months away from 5 years. Feel like my worst year. Yeah, I understand that for sure. I think it's because one of the things that we do too is as we get into it, we're making all those investments, and now we finally have some of the money, even if borrowed, to do those big projects that now have to be done. But I can tell you, once you get those done and behind you, it's kind of like deep breath for sure. Wealth building journey. Yeah, Frank's like 6'4". Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Frank is like 6'4". Yeah, it was awesome. BuzzTune. It was not the best standing around Frank and Cody. Yeah. Cody Evers. Was it Cody Evers or Corey? Corey's huge too. It was awesome. So cool. Wealth building journey, and now fighting a chest cold. Oh, sorry, Chester. That stinks. BuzzTune had bodyguards. Yeah, I know, right? Those guys are huge. Robert Fairley. Anyways, question. My tenants defaulted for non-payment on 213, called court last Thursday, said judge was going to sign writ of possession that day. When can I expect to get it? Almost 2 weeks from default. You can actually go down to the courthouse. And so what I do is I don't wait for them to send it in the mail. I actually go down and I get a copy physically. So that's what I always do. I always go down and I get a copy physically. So when I go down and get that copy physically, but that is a great question. So I go down, I get that copy physically, and then I bring it to the sheriff's office, and then I actually ask them to set a date. So I actually do a date with them right there and right then and there. So I actually do that date. Sorry, I had to adjust my screen so I could see things better. Fire and Ice, good morning. Homes and Hustles, good morning, Sierra. It's so good to see you here. It was great to meet you at the event as well. All-nighter hider. After hours were the best part. After hours were the best part. They were a lot of fun. The show was amazing. But we did Denny's, we did dinners, we did all sorts of stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Getting to hang out with other investors. Yeah, it was a blast. And then what was really funny is we get home from that, it'd be like 10 or 10:30 at night, and then the roommates, like the YouTube house, we'd all stay up until 1 o'clock talking about this, that, and the other and strategy. Simon, uneducated economist, came and hung out. It was cool. And I think he actually stayed the night, which was awesome. It's just good. Like it was like a flop house for a week, but it was good. Sam Farho, good morning. It was great to meet you. Laura Samaniego, good morning. Good to see you. It was a blast meeting you in person. Same, Sam. I loved it. I loved meeting all you guys. It was really great. Hire's got the strongest handshake. Yeah, he does the most manual labor, I think. He does the most. Yeah, my handshake. So I have a frozen shoulder, and so my handshake is downright embarrassing. I feel like I should be lifting and kissing hands. How bad my handshake is right now with my shoulder. But they say it's clearing up. I'd like to believe that. Brett Biesbauer, good morning. Good to see you, Brett. Hider, packing fish and holding tools. Yeah, makes for hard hands. That's true. My buddy who owned a granite company, and he had a quarries where he would basically, harvest the granite is what they call it. Holy Toledo. Because that guy lifts like 40 stones like this and just grabs it. And I've got decent sized hands, and he still hurts my hand every single time. And I know he does it on purpose. Sam Fire, yeah, all the networking was great. All nighter hider, yeah, property giveaway as a gift of retirement. Yeah, I know, right? So funny. Flavio, hey Flavio, good morning. How is Vegas? Vegas is great. Vegas, the show is fantastic. I've been here for 10 days now, and I'm here for another 5. It's awesome. I love Vegas. I love Vegas. Went house shopping. Went to the Zubers. It was great to spend some time with him and Olivia. Awesome people, as you guys can imagine. They're awesome people. So it was a really good time. I really enjoyed my time with them and at the show and having a blast here in Vegas as well. The coolest part, Josh Burdick, the coolest part of attending the ORAAT event is being able to put a face with the names in the stream. So true, right? It really is. It was, I think it was Michelle. I don't think she's here today, but it was Michelle. She's like, Matt. I was like, she goes, do you know who I am? I said, I do. You're Michelle. And she goes, and she was like so surprised I knew who she was, but I knew who she was right away. Which is kind of funny because I think I've only seen her face in like her email. So it was kind of funny. Let's see. Fire Nights, are you getting bandit requests, low ball cash offers? I've had 2 this week. So I get those calls kind of consistently, and I'm just like, yeah, sure, throw me a number. And they're like, well, we have a bunch of questions. No, just throw me and then the number is absurd. Like it's a joke. I literally did one where I just got in the building appraised for $1.1 million, and they offered me $680,000. I took a picture of the amount on the appraisal. I sent it to them. I go, guess you got to get better at your job if you're going to actually ever end up buying any of this stuff. The problem is that they will find people that are stuck that have to get out. So, based on that, that's what will likely happen. I'll get this one tool bag who is out there on my shorts just being stupid, talking about Dave Ramsey, and he just doesn't get it. He's like, well, Dave Ramsey's wealthy through real estate. It's like Dave Ramsey got wealthy in media and then started buying real estate, and now he's got millions of dollars worth or tens of millions of dollars worth of real estate. It's because he wasn't good at real estate. He blew up in the 80s when he first tried it. He actually got wealthy doing media and buying real estate because it's a great investment. So yeah, didn't do that. Let's see. So yeah, to answer your question, Fire Nice, yep. I'm getting those consistently though. Robert Farinelli, I feel like I'm behind because I need to be in very good shape for my final freedom. Yep. Want to hike the application trail, probably Appalachian Trail. The older I get, the probability of me doing that decreases. Sure, I get it. Yep. Wealth building journey. The most expensive education is ignorance. Self-educate. I couldn't agree more. I am the least educated person in every single room when it comes to standard education. But I've made up for it in a lot of other ways, which is I've gotten educated in the areas that matter to me. You asked me to do trigonometry, forget it. No way. Not in a million years. You asked me to do calculus? Nope, not in a million years. You asked me to do business math? Like that. Because I do it every day. I do it every day. So do things that further your journey, right? Josh Burdick, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, sir. All-nighter hider. Courses are time hacks. Totally agree. In my course, it's 9.5 hours. By the way, we're going to be announcing this week, guys, the 2 winning times for the boot camp. That will start likely either the first or second week of March. So stay tuned for that. For those of you boot campers that are out there, I've connected with the. I sent everything off to the course management firm that I use, and so they should have stuff posted this week. I don't know what the answer is, by the way. I've asked them, so I'm waiting to see back. But yeah, courses are time hacks. 9.5 hours is how long my course is. 9.5 hours. That's 9.5 hours of 20 plus years experience. And it's current because I still invest today. I still buy today. So yeah, I agree. They're time hacks. Chris was saying, FYI, Caleb has yet to reply to my IG message. Did I scare him off? Guys, I have to apologize for that. I misunderstood. This was 100% my fault. I misunderstood. I wanted to make sure that people were getting, because while I was retiring, kind of everything, all the wheels fell off the last 2 months I was in that job. The reason why was because it was such a massive time commitment. It wasn't, I was used to running that job and doing that job in 40 to 50 hours a week. And then it became like 70 to 80 overnight, having to, double revenue and hire a bunch of people. And it got crazy fast. And that wasn't a big deal if I didn't have a life. But with young kids and everything else, and a newborn, it was a huge challenge. So I wanted to make sure that people were getting answered. There would literally be like a week or 2 weeks in responding to questions on things. And so what I did was I actually reached out and I brought somebody on to help me with just communication. What I misunderstood was that he was going to be reaching out as if it was me, and not as, hey, I'm part of the lumberjack team. My fault. So if you guys got quote unquote spammy message, it was actually a real person. It was actually somebody that I hired. It was actually somebody that was making sure that we always want to come from a place of, hey, how can we help? What content would help you? And so that was the idea, was what content would help you. If there's something in the course that we thought would help you, would be able to have that conversation with you about that. So again, my apologies. I am not a social media guy. I suck at it, admittedly. The best thing that I know how to do is jump in front of a camera and talk about real estate for 90 minutes a week. That's about my ceiling there. So I have to get better. But yeah, so I apologize if you guys got spammy comments or something like that. It was truthfully us trying to do the right thing and reach out to you guys and have the conversation and just say, how can we help you? What content do you want to understand? If there's something in the course there that can help you, we want to make sure to do that for people. So if that got you guys screwed up a little bit, that was me. That was my bad. I thought it was going to be done a different way. It should be anything moving forward. I've had that conversation. Anything moving forward, it should be good. Chris was, he sent that to me. And so I had kind of an odd look from some people at the conference. And then Chris was nice enough to say something. And he was like, hey, was that you, or was that like a spam or a hack? I was like, what? And then he showed it to me. I go, yeah, that's not me. I said, but it might be the guy that I hired. So I had to reach out to him. That was a big conversation. But yeah, we're good now. But yeah, the big thing for us is we just want to make sure that we're doing things that are relevant to you guys. You're the community that we service. We want to make sure that, we're helping you guys in ways that others aren't. And asset protection is a big one, but there's a lot of different pieces. But yeah, you might have scared him off, Chris, in all honesty. I thought Chris had a great comical response back. And I didn't tell the person, Caleb, on purpose. I wanted to see his response. But yeah, that was that. So appreciate you guys. Robert, the nutrients that your body needs is a great way to stay young. That's a true story. Hyder's ripped. He's younger than me and he's ripped. He does works hard. Let's see. All-nighter Hyder. Title and deed are not the same. True. Deed is beneficial ownership. Title is ownership against which there can be no other claims. Correct. Title is what we want. Yes. And held in title. That's where I had the question was. I wanted to make sure the question was being asked. So if you're down here, Luke, I will certainly answer. Gina DePippa, good morning, LL and Tribe. Good morning, Gina. It's good to have you here on a Sunday. Great to have you here. Excited for the boot camp to begin. All-nighter. Josh Burdick has a video I have yet to watch on YouTube as well, if I'm correct. Oh, I'm sure. It's awesome. Matt Bittner, Lumberjack Landlord. How much of an increase from 2023 to this year is Section 8 rent and standard increasing? So, Matt Bittner, you can look at HUD.gov/FMR, which stands for Fair Market Rents. It is different everywhere. It is different. It's different everywhere. So some of my markets were up because it's done literally by town in many cases. Sometimes it's county, but most of the time it's town. Some markets were up 17%. Some markets were up 2 or 1. But so it really does. It's interesting to see how they calculate that, but that's the number that's out there. But HUD.gov/FMR, you can look it up anytime you want. It's released every September, October timeframe. And that's what the new approved standards are. And so across the board, I don't know what the number was across the country, because quite frankly, I don't really look at the entire country because it's really market specific. But yeah, mine were kind of in that range, But yeah, great question. BuzzTune, at the Pineda event, what question did you want to ask him? Oh my word. Are you a douche? You can see he didn't want to call me for a reason. He could tell I had fire in my eyes. He was making my blood boil. The question that the comment that I wanted to make. The comment that I wanted to make was, he was like, well, what do you want me to do? Get up here and just tell you guys what to do? Rude. And no. I think that what Ryan is good at is Ryan is a serial entrepreneur, right? He is a hustler. He's a grinder. He's a serial entrepreneur. He knows how to do it, right? I think what's awesome about that is that very much is a skill set. Only about 10% of people are really meant to be entrepreneurs. And are you an entrepreneur if you own a plumbing company and you have one other guy? Yeah, I mean, technically you are, sort of. You're a small business owner. The challenge is like real entrepreneurs know how to start something, create something, and build something. And then they aren't the ones that are sitting in the trenches doing the work anymore. That's what a real entrepreneur is, right? Is that eventually you get to just manage. You get to manage all the different. Now, at the end of the day, still stuff falls on your shoulders and you still have to take care of stuff, of course, right? But at its core, that's really entrepreneurship. And so I think what I saw, because I am an actual career sales guy, and recognize that it's all about alignment. It's all about understanding where people are coming from. And here's what I viewed in the crowd, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. What I want to know if I'm wrong. Truthfully, you guys know, no bullshit. I want your honest feedback. I think he completely misread the room. I think that he completely didn't understand who he was talking to, and I thought that lack of preparedness is disrespectful. I think that in sitting in that room, the thing that I wanted to essentially help him with, because we've all been on stage, or many of us have been on stage before, and we feel like we're just missing. And he was just missing, and he couldn't hit the water if he fell out of a boat in that room. I think the mistake that he misunderstood is that room was 90% of people there were W-2 earners, right? And so W-2 earners are naturally more risk averse. W-2 owners are naturally not entrepreneurs in many cases. And they weren't willing to take that risk to have everything depend and rust on their shoulders. So I believe the mistake that he made was, what do you want to do? What do you want me to do? Tell you what to do? That was his comment to the crowd, which really made my blood boil. Because the 90% of that room wasn't there to be told what to do. What they were there for was the wisdom of an elite entrepreneur that could share with people, hey, here's the process that comes naturally to me, right? This is the process that comes naturally to me. This is the process. Excuse me. Excuse me. Forced hot air. So what I wanted him to explain to the group was, this is the process that comes naturally to me. Here's how I understand the system. Here's how I understand the process. Here's how I understand creating process around the problem that I'm trying to solve. Here's how I set realistic goals. Here is how I manage myself to those goals. And then getting a little bit deeper into the minutia, when I then encounter a problem, here's how I then look at that problem, assess it, diagnose it, and then prescribe to fix it. That is what that room, I believe, doesn't necessarily have from the get, because W-2 employees, they're hard workers. They follow orders. They carry out tasks, and they do it with excellence. Many, certainly many in that room. And so if you have those four qualities, you're not looking for the being told what to do. What you're looking for is for somebody to give you guidance on the framework in which you should better understand what I call diagnose and prescribe, and then essentially enact. That's, I think, what the biggest challenge is. Can you guys hear the baby in the background? But that's what that's what I think he was missing in that room. That and just general punctuality was, I think, what he was missing. But I looked at it as an amazing opportunity. I think Zoob did a great job, getting us up on stage, and being able to answer people's questions. So I really enjoyed that part of it. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you, Buzz too. But I love you guys' feedback down below on if you think I was reading the room improperly, because there's always a chance that happens. But I would have picked on me because I would have helped him. But he doesn't know me from Adam, so it's fine. BuzzTune, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. The event was the opposite of crabs in a bucket. It was much more like ants building a tower to lift each other up. Totally agree. It was amazing. Yeah, great, fantastic event. Absolutely fantastic event. What I talked to Mike about was, or Zoob, what I talked to Zoob about was I really liked the fact that we got to be in and around and amongst everybody. I really enjoyed that because I've done speaking events where it's like they bring you in the side door and you're hanging out in a green room by yourself. And then you come out and you present and they say thank you. And then you're going back into the green room and then you're leaving, or they bring you up into a private suite where you then see the rest of the event. No, I'm not interested in that. I want to be with you guys. I want to hang out with you. I want to talk about your stories. I want to hear and see if I can help with anything. So I told Zoob, I said, I love the event, the way it was set up. It was awesome. Old REI guy, lots of great connections made in Vegas. I get to have brunch today with one that I didn't even know lives 40 minutes from me. See, and that's the magic of the event. It was amazing. I'm so glad you're doing that, Frank. Frank has a lot of great knowledge to share, so I'm excited for that. All-nighter hider, standard education is subpar at best. I completely agree. Memorizing an answer versus gaining an understanding through questions and experience are totally different kinds of learning. Absolutely, 1,000%. Gina DePippa, psyched for the boot camp. Gina, I am too. I'm so excited to have you in the boot camp too. You're new to the course, and I'm excited to do the boot camp with you. Chris Culp, good morning. It was great to meet you, Chris, out at the event. I was excited to finally shake your hand. So that was a lot of fun. JMYC, I noticed that people who are the most educated around me have the least skills and are resentful that they are not doing better. They continue to fighting reality. So JMIC, that's a really astute statement. Yeah, often they equate to, well, I put in the work, I got the amazing degrees. I had a doctor, kid you not, guy was a doctor, and he decided to quit being a doctor, fell in love with IT, and then came to work for me. That was odd because we had to have a rough conversation one point. And I said, listen, I'm a ninth grade dropout. I get it. And you have 20 years of schooling and 12 years of, of college level education. I get it. And how does that apply to what we do here on the daily? Because I'm in the role that I'm in because I know those things, not because of any of the others. All of that information is extremely valuable. If I wanted to diagnose something going on with the human body, you're the right guy and I'm the wrong guy. When it comes to running a business and when it comes to running a product line, when it comes to go-to-market strategies and things like that, yeah, there's a reason I'm in the role that I'm in and you're in the role that you're in. And you're extremely important to us in this in this part of the business. However, I have to oversee the entire business. And I was such a huge fan of that guy because he was smart as anything, super smart. But a lot of times his biggest barriers were himself. They were the biggest barriers by far. Hold on one second. The baby's waking up. So I'm just going to notify the wife. So I posted on LinkedIn that I retired, and the comments are coming in a lot as well. So yeah, so to answer your question, JNYC, it is, and that's why very, very often, what was really funny was, I remember interviewing at a top 5 company, and being a high school dropout is usually like they usually have pretty strict requirements for hiring, and so that was a thing. So I'm sitting there and I'm in the interview, having the conversation, and he said to me, he goes, "I don't see your education on here." I said, "Yeah, it's not on there." He goes, "Oh, where'd you go?" I said, "Didn't go anywhere." And he goes, "You didn't go to college?" I was like, "Nope." He's like, "Oh, how come?" I said, "Just too busy working." And he said, "Well, have you found that to be a problem in your career?" I said, "I've never asked any of the customers, or I've never had any of the customers who spent millions and millions of dollars with me ask me where I went to college. Zero. No one has ever asked me before they spent millions of dollars with me on some massive software contract has ever asked me where I went to college. It's never happened." So yeah, so that was my conversation, and I think far too often think people feel like they're less than when they didn't go to a grade school and they didn't graduate college or whatever. You're not less than. Just do the work. We got to just do the work. That's it. That's it. Do I want everyone slams me in the comments when I say I don't think college is that important? For 85% of people that don't use the degree that they got in college for what they end up doing in their work, I don't think it was important really at all. For the 15%, yeah, the lawyers, the doctors, obviously, I want the best doctors in the world operating on my daughter, and they went to college and they became elite at what they did. That's good. That's what I want. But if 85% of people didn't use their degree in the job that they have, then you tell me how important it is. If 85% of people got the job that they have and they didn't need it. So that's all. Just be to me, we're not paying for college for our kids. We're going to be very thoughtful about that. We want that to be their decision. So I agree, JMYC. Ryan Husser, morning everyone. Morning, Ryan. Good to see you. Robert Fernelli, indeed, which is why I only eat meat and veg and fruit and need to live long. Yeah, it's good. Robert Fernelli, do you think a college rental 3-bedroom needs a 125 amp service or a 200 amp service? Seems the meter sockets for 125 amp 2 gang is 1200 and 200 amp is 3500. I mean, 200's a lot. I think what you're better off doing, I think the 125 amp service is fine. I think the only thing that I would do is next to one of the windows where they would likely put an air conditioner if you don't have central air. I would just make that a dedicated circuit. That's what I would do. That's what I do. That's what we do. So when we see a bedroom layout, when we see, let me just put this one up on screen. When we see a bedroom layout, um, we want to make sure that there's always an outlet next to a window so they can put in an AC. We want to run that as a dedicated circuit and we can run that as a dedicated 20 amp, because then we know that they can put an AC in there and it's not going to be a problem. But if you have 3 ACs running, plus all the other general use in the house, 125 is almost in all likelihood going to be more than enough. The only thing that you want to consider is the specifics, the individual circuits, to make sure that you don't end up, popping in the bedroom every single time. If they're a gamer and they want an AC and they have, whatever, all the other electrical requirements in the room, then yeah, at that point you could be you're definitely pushing 15 amps, but you could be pushing 20. So if you put the AC on its own single, then you're fine. The other thing that you can do too is that if they don't want an AC, you could also have them. That might be where they plug in their machine, their computer. Having a hard time getting an electrician not to ghost me, but needs to be done currently. Only a 60 amp service. I can send somebody your way. Just send me an email, and because I know you're right in Manchester, I can probably get you helped. A wealth building journey. He 1000% misread the room. Thank you. I agree with that. I'm guessing Pineda was trying to motivate the room, but was in the wrong room for that. Yes. Yes, I agree. Michelle Meyer, there she is. I am listening on X2. So amazed that you would know me or even remember the interaction. I'm so honored. Love meeting you guys in person. Love meeting you guys. It was awesome. I don't need to be honored. It's just we're just people trying to do the same thing, and if I can help you guys, I want to do that. Old REI guy, he was disrespectful. He seemed disappointed that we were all there for Zuber. Yeah, guy was a jerk. Sorry, I share my opinions. You guys know that. All nighter hider. Good call, Frank. I agree. The Yoder. I am looking to remodel an upper bathroom. Okay. Current tenant lets her 5-year-old splash the water when taking a bath. Yep, which leaks downstairs. What would you do? What would you do? Replace the tub with a shower? Um, no, probably not. In all honesty, what I would probably do is um, you're probably try and find out where the leak is coming from. Um, what I would probably do, um, what I would probably do is I would not replace the bathtub because that's going to lower the value of your asset, right? You don't want to, if you already have a bathtub there, you're going to spend a lot of money to replace that tub. So what I would do is I would properly caulk all the edges, make sure that that's all perfectly done. If there is a question of water penetration, then I would maybe pull those walls, and then just again properly caulk the edges, make sure that that's good. The other thing that I would do too is very often where you're losing that water is it's going to be over the edge, and you get it where basically the floor and the tub meet. Again, there's a way to waterproof that as well. You can, if it's flooring that's there, you can go under it and you can create like a lip with something called Detra, which is like very very thin but waterproof paper where water will just literally sit on top of it. So we've done that a couple times in the past, where we've, if it was like LVP, we basically put that stuff under the LVP. But then again, it really just do a very good job of caulking the edge. If you're getting water penetration, it's almost always going to be either around that top rim of the tub, or it's going to be that edge right on the other side where it meets the floor. And it's really just about, properly securing that with good caulking, to make sure that water's not going to seep past that. That's the first thing that I would try, Yoder, because that's a much less expensive fix. So that's what I'd be getting in kind of elbows deep and saying, hey, how do I do this the most efficient way, that might save me, a significant amount of money. If it is a tile floor, it's actually easier to do that. But yeah, I would just make sure that you're then just, properly caulking the edges. Wealth building journey. Pineda could also have also served as an HVAC expert with all that forced hot air he was putting out. That's good, Chester. Yeah. Yep. On the other hand, Robert, I would think you get away with 125, but I'm interested in Matt's answer. I personally would want 200 for my house. So Hyder would want 200 for his house because he's a construction guy. I want 200 in my house. I have 200 in my house. But yeah, the 120 for a 3-bedroom unit, yeah, 125 amp. I would just dedicate the circuits. That's the big thing, is just dedication of circuits, because the overall. So let's say you have 3 ACs running, right? 3 ACs running. You've got the clothes washer running. You got the dishwasher running. You get the lights all on. You're still not going to be pulling 125 amps. You aren't. And so that's why I say 125 is more than enough. If it's not, then they probably have a grow. Kurt C. Hi, Matt. It was great meeting you in person. You as well, Kurt, and getting your advice. I've really benefited from taking your course. Let's see. Taking your course and getting to know you. Kurt C., I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you. It was great meeting you as well, spending time with you. Love your kitchen. It looks amazing. But yeah, it was great meeting you. I'm glad you benefited from the course. That's what the hope is. And again, I think the idea is, too often people's expectations are, I took a course and now I'm only going to do things that way. That's not what it's there for. You can. It got me to where I got to today. The key to this is taking the things that you struggle with. Some people are really good at other stuff, and some people have already figured out a process that really works for them. The idea is discovering that there's new processes and systems that you can put in place that can reduce the effort. That's the big key. That's the big key. Joseph Aiello. Good day, Matt. Enjoying the course and the boot camp recorded sessions. Very cool. Not understanding how to log on live. Yep, maybe a user error on my part, but I cannot get to the live until your March boot camp. That's correct. So there's nothing in the live boot camp right now. There's nothing there right now. The reason that there's nothing there right now is because we haven't done any of the sessions, and the sessions get recorded live and then go into that group. And then that's where you can then watch them because they're also bookmarked. I want to keep that asset for you guys as long as you're a member of the course. You guys get to keep on accessing that and go back and go, oh yeah, we had a conversation about X, Y, or Z. We want to constantly make that available to you guys. So there's nothing in the March bootcamp yet, but there will be starting in March. We'll be doing that together. So great question. Glad you're enjoying the recorded content so far. And yeah, we're going to jump in and do some real life stuff. I love it. BuzzTune, thanks, World Building Journey. JNYC, the event was amazing. Felt great being around all those people who have similar goals and interests. Yeah, I agree. I've been around. Yeah, me too. I think we all are. We've all been to a lot of those events, and that one was by far the best one I've ever been to. All-nighter hider. Most of the hiring managers I've ever talked to are disappointed with educated people. It's really about production from the business. It's the government that wants people to have student loan debt. Yeah, I think that, I looked at it and, my friends and I have had honest conversation about that where they had, $200,000 in debt coming out of college. Holy cow. And, what did I do with my money, with my $1,000 a month student loan payment? I didn't have one. So I saved it and then I spent it on a mortgage that I house hacked and I got paid back for. Right. So that gave me a huge financial leg up. Now, the idea is that in their 30s, they start to out earn, or in their 40s, they really start to out earn you. Right. With a high end degree, they really start to out earn you. The challenge is that may or may not be the case. And what they're looking at is higher likelihood than not. Okay. I think it really just comes down to a lot of the numbers that they claim and these, this person over this amount of time makes this much more money. It's because of doctors and lawyers. And you have to have degrees to get those. So that skews the numbers. Take out doctor and lawyer and let's see how it ends up. Because I bet you it'd be different. Josh Burdick. You sound about right on your assessment of Friday night. Thank you. It rubbed me wrong for sure. Yep. His interview with Zuber was great. So it kind of surprised me he came across out of touch in person. He's out of touch. He doesn't hold property. He rents property. And he flips it. The skills for flipping are nothing like the skills of buy and hold. They just aren't. They aren't. There aren't many houses that you would buy from a flipper that were done to the degree that they should be done. And there's a reason for that. They have to make money. And if the market's not going up, they have to get out. So they look at it and they're like, let's do the minimum of what we have to do. They're not, curating this amazing experience. And the problem is that you don't see what's behind the walls. So yeah. Dylan McMahon, welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. What square foot do you like for 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2 in apartments? Or is it not too important? Any bed bath counts you're not interested in? So Dylan, that's a great question. I don't know that I have like a specific square footage wise, because I've done 3 bedrooms at 1,000 square feet, 1,100 square feet. I've done 3 bedrooms that are 2,100 square feet. So it's really kind of followed a range. So there aren't necessarily any counts I'm interested in. In the beginning of my journey, I wasn't interested in smaller stuff, but then I realized I kept on giving great tenants to landlords that had smaller properties from my big properties. Well, that was kind of a problem. So then I started buying some 1s and 2s because I had people that were like, yeah, we're ready to move. We'd love to. Do you own anything that's a 1 or a 2? And be like, no. And then I would just hand a great tenant to my friends. And I was like, I got to stop doing that. I need to keep those tenants. They're amazing. So yeah, Dylan, there's no real square footage necessarily because it would just be price would reflect. It's more, if you have 3 bedrooms, it's 800 square feet or 2,000 square feet. The only difference is price, right? I can't get as much for 800 square foot 3-bedroom as I can for a 2,000 square foot bedroom when it comes to market rents. When it comes to Section 8 rents, Section 8 pays based on the number of units or number of bedrooms in the unit. So it doesn't matter how big it is. Then it's just a question of will people like the space and whether they want to move in. Robert Finelli, I do all bedrooms, 20 amp each. Would that be enough? I'm putting ceiling fans in each room. So Robert, I would still put, it's in Keene. Yep. I would still put a dedicated circuit next to a window for air conditioning. If you're looking at using a big, huge tower, right? Some of these absolute massive, gaming systems and an AC and lights and fill in the blank. For me, it's almost no effort to add one more circuit per room. If they're already rewiring it, I'm going to have them add a circuit. If it's a rewire, I'm going to add a circuit to a room because that circuit might cost me $200 to add. And then I don't have to worry about them flipping breakers or needing access to the panel to flip the breaker. That's just my point. That's my thought. Anna Kay, late H game last night, just signing on. Good morning. Good morning, Anna Kay. I know that Anna Kay is our resident hockey player along with me, I guess. It's been years since I played since I hurt my ankle, but it's good. But she's our resident hockey player and another Lumberjack Landlord course alumnus. Good morning, Anna. Did you get to hat trick? I know. Good question, Hyder. Flavio Macias. When I retired from my W-2, I was depressed for a month. Now I feel great. Congrats, Matt. Thanks, Flavio. Yeah, in all honesty, I'm not depressed. I feel pretty good. Is the word depressed? No, I think I feel it hasn't sunk in yet. That's what it is. It hasn't sunk in yet. When I get home, when I get home, it's a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. And then my kids are in school on Monday, or my oldest is. And I have court on Monday. I have court on Tuesday. And I have a meeting with the IRS on Thursday. So we'll see. Dylan McMahon. You just want insurance to cover replacement cost. Can't you get insurance where you get paid while place is destroyed? Is that worth it? So yeah, that's called rental replacement. I don't want a landlord policy separate. So what most landlords get for policies is they get what's called a fire policy. And so I do ask them, hey, it's a rental property. What is the cost of rental replacement? So I do ask that of my insurance providers, and I do get that because it's minimal. It's very inexpensive. And knowing that a fire could take a year, I want to make sure that I get paid for a year. So it's very minimal. But yeah, great question. All-nighter Hyder. I like to weld. 200 amps is almost required. Oh, it's 100% required. Yeah. Dylan McMahon, do you have any recourse debt? If so, what made it worth it? I do have recourse debt for sure because I don't do LLCs. It is under a trust. And if you want cheap rates or much cheaper rates, I mean, the whole purpose of the recourse debt is so the bank can't come after you, right? Okay. I'm of the mindset. I did the bill. I signed the paper. I'm going to pay it. I could have walked away from properties in 2007 and I didn't. I could have walked away. I didn't. They were underwater 25% from what I paid for them. I didn't. I struggled bus. I almost went bankrupt 3 times. Struggle bus. I wasn't gonna give it back to them. Recourse or not, I wasn't gonna give it back to them. Not gonna do it. Nope. That's just not how I roll. So yeah, I've got recourse debt. Yep. And that's one of the ways that I get great rates, along with my relationship with the bank. Tim L. Remodeling a bath and keeping the old tub. Love it. It doesn't have that backlip. Yep. That the wall sits in front of. Yep. So you suggest putting something back there, or is it the same caulking comment as Yoder? So I do absolutely suggest putting something back there. Usually, if that's butted up to the wall, what I would do is I would actually so there's something called Ditra, and there's also it's almost like a Tyvek paper. And so it's impenetrable. And it does it. So when I put the sheetrock or whatever I'm putting up on that wall, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to, after I get the sheetrock on the wall or the hardy backer board, I'm actually going to waterproof it. So you actually you can waterproof hardy backer board, and you can do that with a roll-on, or you can also do it with a sheet of this stuff. So I actually do both because it's overkill. But now, I have no water leaks on any of my tubs, even without that back lip. But that's what I've typically done in the past. Is that you can then create that where you can bring that out to the edge, and then when you tile it, then it's actually hidden by the edge of the tile, by the thickness of the mortar and the thickness of the tile. It's usually then hidden there, but I bring out a little bit of a lip of it, and I also waterproof it. I waterproof underneath it before that, and then that creates a nice rubber membrane where you don't have to worry about leaks. So, yeah, and then you caulk the tile work, because then that's actually threefold. Aloha from Ohio. Hey, Mark. Great to meet Mark Oshiro at the event. It was absolutely a blast. Good to see him. The wealth building journey facts. The top earning professionals highly skew the average for all professionals overall. Totally agree. I mean, when you've got lawyers in there that are making 7 figures, and not all do, but plenty do, and doctors, and you get those guys where on a minimum they're making 200. I know some, neurosurgeons and things like that are making 7 figures. Guess what? Oh, and engineers too. G Lover. Thank you, my man. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Engineers as well. You got it. I think on the engineering side though, there's more and more, like if it's like specific engineering, right? So not like there's so many courses out there that you can get pretty proficient now with courses. So yeah, and then still take the different tests and things like that and do very well. There's a lot of cowboys on keyboards that are from a computer engineering perspective that become elite at what they do, and they have no degree. They were just amazing at writing code and learning how code works, and they see it differently in their heads. So yeah, totally agree. But yeah, yep. Tim L, I've been in tech for a long time. It's about what you do, not your school or background. Some schools get you a network, but once you're in the door, it's about what you can do. Tim, exactly right. I was in tech for 26 years, and I never was asked about my degree except for some jackass who had a big degree that thought that was important. So I just said to him, I said, if you're interested in hiring based on someone's education 15 years ago, as opposed to the results that they've driven, I'm not the right guy for you. I would literally take it right off the table and tell them I'm not the right person. So, yeah, totally agree. James Walsh. Here we go. Can you give a high-level opinion on how to deal with GCs? Sure. First time doing a 6-unit rehab, GC is making many excuses for why he has only done 1 out of 6 units in 2 months. Brutal experience. Thank you, James. That's what my course is for. It's how to manage those guys and how to make sure that they go broke. They go absolutely broke in the process if that's their time frame. So the idea is very much, it is when you're doing a contract with a newer GC, it is having timelines and timeframes. Having timelines and timeframes. It's done by this date, and if not, it's this penalty per day. It's done by this date, and if not, it's this penalty per day, etc. So that's what I would recommend. That's what I recommend is dates and timelines. And so I would look at your contract and see if there's a termination in there. I would be shopping for another GC and have him show up and see that you have another GC there. It's not going to get better. You got to get off the train. Don't think that it's gone well. Look at the contract, see what your outs are. Start shopping for another GC immediately. You're not going to fix this guy. If he spent 2 months on 1 unit, you're not going to fix him. It's not going to work. You're not going to fix it. Nope. You need to, and then if he sees that and then he starts to speed up, okay. But if the quality of work is there, okay, but it needs to be done in a time sensitive manner as well. If it's not, you're going to go broke in the process. So I would be talking to other GCs saying, hey, I'm unhappy with this GC. He's just exploded all the timelines. He's not really delivered on his times that he said he would. And just say, at the end of the day, this is what I'm looking for. But I would be getting other GCs in there. I would be looking at my contract to see what my outs are with him. And I would be looking, because if he's broken any of those things in the contract, then you can use that as a termination. You can terminate based on that. And that's what I would do. That's what I would do. And then I would have somebody else come in, pull all the permits. But yeah, if he spent 2 months getting one unit done, that means you're going to be a year into doing that building. And it's just, there's no 6 unit that takes that long. There just isn't. We're 2 months into our 5 unit, and we're probably 2 months away from being all done. Like we're done demo, we're done rough electrical, we're starting rough plumbing. Rough plumbing should be done in the next 2 weeks. And then we're inspections, and then we're insulation, which is a week. And then sheetrock, which is 2 weeks. And then we're finished trim, which is 2 to 3 weeks. And then we're paint and cabinets and appliances. So yeah, we'll be done that project March, April. We'll be done the project by beginning of May. So that's what I would be looking for. Dylan McMahon, I'm in Cody and Christian's mentorship. Do you think I should do yours after one rental at a time? It's entirely up to you, Dylan. I think that one rental at a time is about purchasing, creating a buy box. There's a lot of other assets in there. I'm actually in his course as well on the 4-3-2-1 strategy. So I think there's a lot of other valuable content. But mine really is, okay, once you've got the asset, because there's a million different ways to buy it. Once you've got the asset, how do you manage the asset for the next 20 years? How do you have conversations with construction people and GCs to make sure you don't get ripped off? How do you manage tenants? How do you work with tenants? How do you settle disputes? How do you go to court? How do you work with code enforcement? Check out my syllabus. If you think that that's a great fit for you, then likely, in all likelihood, it is. But if you don't know everything you need to know about those things in my syllabus, then my course is the right one for you. And if it's not, it's not, and that's okay. But I appreciate your asking. SK, why are you looking to move to Vegas? Save taxes? Does it make it difficult to manage all your properties remotely? So I'm looking at Vegas because I don't want to spend 12 months a year in New Hampshire. It's Siberia, haven't you heard? The big thing for us is just variation. Vegas is a city and it has everything. So all the things that I like to do with my family. So like go watch hockey. I'm 20 minutes away from the practice rink for the Knights. Entertain friends when they come into town. It's the world's best entertainment area in the world. Go to shows. My wife loves shows. They have every show in the world here. I like going to rock concerts. Every band in the world plays Las Vegas. There's not one out there that doesn't play Vegas. Food, second to none in the world. It's absolutely spectacular. And save on taxes. New Hampshire has no income tax, but so does Nevada. So it's kind of cool. Is it difficult to manage my properties remotely? I managed my properties the year my daughter was in quarantine while she was sick with cancer. I managed all my properties and I did it all remotely. I couldn't go on site anywhere. So I built an amazing team that, quite frankly, if I need to be on site, I can be. But I'm more on site for the project side of it. And so we're done our couple of big projects this year. But we would love to have something where we wouldn't move full time to Vegas, but we'd move here for probably, be able to come here a couple of months a year and then maybe a month in the summertime and spend time here because we love it. There's a million things that this has here that we don't have at home. And so I don't know that I'd move away from home, but all of my friends that I would want to see on a regular basis, I can go back and home and visit and be targeted in my time there. So that's kind of how I look at it. Joe Aiello, Matt. Yes, Joe. Happy to answer your question. Summertime Santa. Hi, Summertime Santa. Good to have you. Wealth Building Journey. 2 options: pay as you go, i.e., as he produces, or possibly or start interviewing other GCs. That's exactly right. Great answer. Chester nailed it. Chester nailed it. Did you learn that in the course, Chester? You're the man. All-nighter, good question. ORAAT is more geared for getting started. Matt's course is geared for maintenance, in my opinion. Yeah, it's true. Yep. Dylan, so if you're looking to sell a property, it's better to leave some value add for the next person. How do you know what to rehab and what not to? Great question. That's in the course. Except, no, I don't want to leave stuff value add for them. I don't. I want to sell turnkey. I want to buy value add. I want to sell turnkey. That's the right move. That's the right move. So for people that are in my boot camp, as you guys know, you guys get access to kitchens. You guys get access to kitchens at just above basically wholesale prices. So just above my cost, so I cover my costs. Basically, you guys get access to that. And so we've been doing kitchens, for between $2,000 and $4,000. Whereas I know the quotes from others are for inferior product. I know because I've seen the product. There's products out there that look like what we represent, what we rep. There's products out there that look like that, and quite frankly, not nearly as good. They just aren't. Super slow closed doors with bigger pistons. Super slow closed doors with bigger pistons. So you can throw it shut harder, and tenants are abusive on stuff. That's just the way it is. But then also quality of finish. The way that they spray and bake these things, and the way that we have zero issues with finishes. They stand the test of time. The quality of construction of the box, where it can be shimmed. With some of these old buildings, I can have a 2.5-inch shim difference between the back wall and the front wall. That's a massive difference, and these things stand up. They stand up strong. So, yeah. So from that perspective, I always want to sell done. I never want to sell value add ever, unless I'm wholesaling the deal and I'm trying to get out of it. SK. Do you allow tenants to sublet part of a rental to others? No. If not, how do you check regularly if others are not living there? Or you don't care as long as you get rent? I do care. Because more people means more expenses, but I look at the bills, right? I see if a water bill was $300 for the previous quarter and now it's $400 for this quarter, I want to know why. Also, it might be time for us to go check the smokes there. Safety inspection. Will you let them know, hey, listen, we got to do a quick safety inspection. And if we see that there's, the signs of somebody else living there, then we raise it. Robert Farinelli, LOL. I know Matt, but I already rewired the room waiting on a new panel. All good. Lights for all rooms on a separate circuit. Wiring lights on 12.2 sucks. It does suck. 12.2 is tough to work with. So I would just leave it the way it is, Robert. Still a 125 is fine. That's not going to be your issue in a 3-bedroom unit. 125 isn't going to be an issue in all likelihood. Wealth building journey. Stay busy. Focus on something. My uncle turned 75 yesterday. He goes to the gym daily, and he's always on the go. That's exactly right. Love that. Dylan McMahon, could you explain cross-collateralization when it makes sense? When you talk about cross-collateralization, are you talking about using debt on one property to get the income or to get the down payment for another property? If you can give me more detail there, I'm happy to answer. Hey, there's Lars. Good to see you, Lars. It was great meeting you at the event as well. Dylan McMahon, does refi affect cap gains? Nope. Refi does not affect cap gains because you are taking debt out on an asset. You are not creating income for yourself. Dion talk financial freedom. There's my buddy, probably waking up from his second morning nap. Actually, probably first morning nap. It's only 9:48. Every time you hit the like button, a flamingo girl gets her wings. Oh, sweet Lord. Let me tell you, for Dion being lazy, he is a getter because he was like, let's go do content on the Strip. Let's go do content on Fremont Street. And I was like, fine. I was like, I am freshly retired. I would like to relax. But Dion wants to go do something. I'm game because I love Dion. He's my brother. And same with Millennium Mike. Like, these guys are like, yeah, let's go do this. I was like, sure. So we did. And it was a blast. And the answers that we hear, guys, like, there is no wonder they're in Flamingo Girl outfits. There's no wonder. They couldn't figure out 3% of a dollar. It's $3 or 3% of a dollar. We were saying $100. So 3% of a dollar is 3 cents. They couldn't figure that out. And then he was asking the question of $300,000. A $300,000 house goes up 3% or 4%. I think he said rate of inflation. So it was $312,000. So it's kind of funny. Joe Aiello, thanks, Matt, for answering my question on the boot camp. You're very welcome. Turning into a real estate nerd, I guess. Oh, dude, it's the best. Real estate nerds are the best. I love it. That's my thing. we were talking to like 1:30, 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning. Like, I was like, man, so I flew into town on Thursday night. From Thursday to Sunday, I got like 10 hours of sleep or 11 hours of sleep. It was exhausting and awesome. It was the best. It felt like a 3-day rock concert. Joe, let's see. Oh, Lars Nielsen, making breakfast for my wife and listening. That's awesome, Lars. I'm glad. Dylan McMahon, lean the Roy title theory state. What does it mean? I don't know what that means. Contract for deed, how different from sub 2? Is it the only difference, a loan on a property? I believe so. I'm not a sub 2 expert, so I believe so. Yeah, I mean, basically sub 2 is the person has as a mortgage and they have a deed. If they don't have a mortgage, then there's no subject to. It's just seller financing. So sub 2, it's subject to the terms of the loan. If there's no loan, then there's no subject to. It's just seller financing, and that would be basically them carrying, or you having a promissory note, essentially a mortgage with them, where they're seller financing the asset to you. So then there's no subject to, because there's no debt on the property. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I lost my place. Am I turning into a real estate nerd? Yes, Joe. And that's the best nerd to be. It's the best nerd. You can, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like original Star Wars stuff. Yeah, I've seen it 100 times, actually more. But that doesn't pay me anything. That's just sheer enjoyment. I get to enjoy and make money with real estate. So it's pretty cool. Dylan McMahon, question 1, when you refi, can you depreciate again? Well, it would go on a depreciation schedule. So I don't answer CPA questions here because I'm not a CPA, but I have my CPA handle that. What we do is, all we do is we refi. When we refi, we're not worried about the depreciation side of it. What we're focused on is pulling cash out of the asset because we have a better deployment of the capital available. So the rest of that is immaterial to me. Question 2, if the person before you did a cost segregation, can you? Yep. Yeah, of course. Because you didn't do the cost seg, they did. So it's for your benefit, not for theirs. If you cost seg and the timeline ends, can you, if you cost seg and the timeline ends, can you, for example, replace the cabinets and do it again? You can, although, I mean, you can, because it basically updates the schedule by which you're depreciating. But I don't think you're going to get that big of a return that you would want to spend another $1,000 on a cost seg, or maybe $500. If you use DIY cost seg like I use, they're the least expensive option out there in the market, and they have audit support. So if you're worrying about getting audited, I paid for audit support. But yeah, you can re-cost seg a property and update the cost segregation with the new statistics, to what I understand. But again, not a CPA. But at the same time too, I personally wouldn't. If I spend $10,000 on a kitchen and I want to take that depreciation in, 5 years instead of 27.5 years, like over a 5-year period. So I get to, I'm not doing that little business, if that makes sense. And I don't think anybody would, where it makes sense to try and fight to capture 2 more K in depreciation. That's just me. Wealth building journey, Chester. Bad GCs are like bad PMs. Totally agree. Fire and ice. Has anyone had the power company sever the triplex service from the building to the pole on a vacant building when there has been no flood or fire, then charge you to put up new? Ooh. Yeah, I would be reporting that to the Better Business Bureau and to the city. I would talk to the code enforcement officer for the city for electrical. and understand that process, because I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine that would be allowed, but who knows? Not sure. Dylan, when does it make sense not to cost seg? Q2, can you 1031 multiple one property? Yeah, I do. Yep. Yes. Yep. I have sold, I have 1031 into multiple properties from one. I've done it multiple times. So I went from 1 to 3 or 4. I think 3 on 1. So yes. Cost seg, there are times where it doesn't make sense to cost seg. It's a really easy one if if your spouse can be real estate professional status like my wife is, because she has all of our back end bookkeeping and accounting. And so it makes a whole lot more sense to have her be a real estate professional. She spends enough time on it. You have to have you have to have the job that allows you to be considered a real estate professional. And then that's an easy equation. If you're not a real estate professional, it's still a pretty easy equation. If you have a W-2 that you can balance it against. But yeah, I think that one of the things that we set up is if you use the code 1000 lumber, all capital letters, lumber, 1000 lumber. If you use 1000 lumber at DIY cost seg, you can ask those questions. You can set up a 15-minute free Calendly call with them. It's free of charge. And so I allow, they gave me a special rate for you guys. So it's 1000 lumber, gets you, I think it's a 10% discount on your cost seg, but it also gets you a free Calendly call. So worth looking into there. Good morning, Ninja Vanish. Good to see you. All-nighter hider. Always remember that interviews are two-way. Streets scrutinize the business just like they're scrutinizing you. Good fits are mutual. Totally agree. All right. Fire and ice. Sorry, phone update issues. I understand. Had that issue. The Yoder. Bad GCs are like bad landlords. I work for a great commercial GC. We get calls to clean up bad GC work. Yeah, get that for sure. How do you screen maintenance, PM, CPA attorneys? In the course. It's all in the course. That's not a 1-minute answer. It's in the course. Drop out and retire early. Oh, hey. See that? The beauty of doing rentals Dave Ramsey's way, 100% debt free. So this is the tool bag that said he wouldn't show up for my live stream, talking about how Dave Ramsey owns all these rentals mortgage free. He owns them mortgage free because he made hundreds of millions of dollars off of people like you that needed to pay him to show him how to balance a checkbook and understand how to manage your own money. And so that's fine. It's good to get help in areas that you're not very good. That's what courses are for, that help skill people up. But at the end of the day, Dave Ramsey didn't buy anything with cash that he didn't create from his media empire. So unless you're all planning on owning a media empire to then buy your real estate, you probably have to do it with debt. And that's still a good way to do it. And that's okay. It's not about being more patient with your contractors. It's about getting what you contracted for. And I'd love to know, drop out and retire early. I'd love to know how many rentals you own. Dylan McMahon, what happens to mortgage if a building burns down? Mortgage still exists. All-nighter hider. There's the course. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Yeah, check out the syllabus. If the course fits, it fits. If it doesn't, that's okay. Matt, if you're still in Vegas, have you tried the Bushnell buffet at Caesars? If not, great place to be at. So I have had that. That's actually a top 5 buffet here. So you're eating in the right places. I'm an MGM guy. And so I used to have, oh my word, I was shocked. I showed up to a big gate and they said I had Pearl status. No. I worked so hard to get my platinum status. Now I got to go back and get my platinum status, but I eat at MGM buffets. There's a couple that are much more, they're kid friendly. So the one at Excalibur is really kid friendly. And then the one at Bellagio is amazing, but I get to skip the line. And so that's a big thing for me, is not waiting in lines. But yeah, great. But that's a great buffet, Sam. Wealth Building Journey. I learned that from Matt's course. There you go. I love it. Great job. Great job, Chester. Lars, let's see. Oops, sorry. Oh, golly. Wrong side. There we go. Lars, Matt, where do you play poker in Las Vegas? I found the Bellagio and Orleans had the safest games. So I don't play poker. in Las Vegas. Nope. I'll play home stuff, but I won't play in Vegas. It's kind of like golf, big time commitment in most cases. And I'm really here with my kids and my wife, so I want to spend time with them and doing stuff for them. So we've had a lot of cool stuff like that. Dylan McMahon, your course gives context. Can they ship to Houston? Yeah, we ship everywhere in the world, or everywhere in the country. Excuse me. Yeah, we've shipped. We did Dion's Kitchen in Washington. We've done stuff in like 15 different states, but we can ship anywhere. Not a big deal. If you're in the boot camp, you get access to the designer, and it's $99 for a design fee. But yeah, we do that. Yep, do it all the time, all over the country. I'm closing on first 16 unit. When a good time to start bulk buying, dude? Then you don't have to buy in bulk though. That's the best part. The best part about the way that we do it is you don't need to buy in bulk. That's the idea. I'm buying in bulk so you don't have to, because the way the relationship works for me is I'm a dealer, but I sell at wholesale. So the idea is it's based on the amount that is sold in a year is where I get my pricing. And so that means that you guys don't have to, because you guys get the cumulative advantage. We've done 20 something kitchens, and I've got another 15 to 20 more that we're doing in the next 8 to 10 weeks. So we'll do 100 kitchens this year, I think, no problem. Pretty easily. And that's not if somebody bought like 16 units worth. But Dylan, I wouldn't be buying, as much as I love the sale for 16 kitchens, I wouldn't be buying 16 at the same time. I wouldn't. I'd come up with, I'd work on it. I'd do a couple designs, 2-3 designs. And we do charge for each design, obviously, unique design. But I would do 2-3 designs and then know what your cost is going to be. That way, when you're ready to do the kitchen, you order it. And usually we're between 2 and 4 weeks from ordering to it being on your front doorstep, ready to be installed. Yep. All-nighter hider. Cabinet paint is crucial. Baking in between multiple thinner coats is better than one thick coat. Totally agree. Drop out and retire early. Let's talk about Dave Ramsey real estate the right way, 100% cash debt free. Let's not. That's stupid. That's dumb. Like I said, drop out. Anytime you want to compare net worth, rental receipts on a monthly basis, debt free is not the way to do it. It's not the way to grow. But if you want to believe that, then you can do that. That's fine. Millennial Mike, drop out, you funny bro. I know. He's close to getting blocked unless he adds some value. I love Fremont Street. What a fun place in Vegas. Yeah, if you want to get pickpocketed, the Strip is way better than Fremont Street. I'll take Fremont all day long. I'll take the Strip all day long. Dylan McMahon, I don't know anything about cross-collateral, so just basic overview or where to learn more about it. So we talk about that in the boot camp. That's one of the things we've covered in previous boot camps. Cross-collateralization really is just that. It's you own an asset that has equity in it. What you do is you actually put that equity, so you get that equity out against that. So you essentially collateralize that debt with that asset. So it can be done 2 ways. It can be done one way where you just do a refi and essentially you're using that money against for something else, whatever else you want. It can also be where I want to go buy a property. There's equity sitting there, and a bank says, I want more collateral for the debt that we're going to give you, more than this building, because we see there's risk. Then you can say, I pledge this building and my equity position in that building. You can do it that way as well. So that's cross-collateralization of debt. In a nutshell. There's Millennial Mike. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Drop out and retire early. I'll debate you on Dave Ramsey real estate way versus lumberjack method on investing on my channel anytime. Let's go. Yeah, I say you should do that. Drop out, retire early. What's so funny, drop out? You know what's funny? That strategy is trash. I say you debate him. I think you'll get obliterated. All-nighter hider. Drop out. Investing is incredibly personal. If that works for you, then kudos. Exactly. Prefer to be educated enough to know how to use debt as a tool. Exactly. Totally agree. SK, do you get landlord-tenant insurance for each of? No, I do not. Nope. I do not get landlord. Guys, landlord-tenant insurance, I hate that stuff. I hate that stuff with a passion. That's giving you the excuse to be lazy and not properly qualified tenants. It just does. One of the things we talk about in my course all the time is how to properly qualify tenants. We talk about it all the time. On those boot camps, we talk about that on our boot camp calls all the time. You need to properly identify tenants. You need to properly be able to place good tenants. And you know what? A place being empty for a month is far better than getting a bad tenant in there that you then have to work to get out. Yeah. I have liability insurance. No, it's not 300K. I think it's 500, 1 million, and then I have an umbrella. Yep. Perfect. Oh my goodness. Well, Mike, go at him, buddy. Just, hey, let the strategies sit as they do. Let the strategies sit as they do. I got enough cash flow to choke a donkey. And I'm happy that I don't own stuff debt free. And when I do own it debt free, I have a couple properties that are going to get paid off here in the next 12 to 24 months. I'm going to relever them with debt. Either that or I'm going to sell them. But I haven't figured out which one yet. One of the ones that I'm selling this spring is almost paid off. I'm not going to relever it with debt because it's not the right asset. It's the best option there is to sell out of the asset and move on. There you go. The gauntlet has been thrown down. Yeah, not interested in clean and sober living homes. We actually help them from the transition once they get out of the clean and sober living homes, because you do need to have a level of oversight in the clean and sober living homes. So we love it. We love that somebody else is willing to do it, but our preference would be either retirement home, in-home retirement home, or that transition once they get out. All-nighter hider. Mike's excited, but he got a good heart. Would be great content dropout. Yep, I can guarantee my core being respectful. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. It's just strategy against strategy. And again, hey, if somebody wants to have paid off rental units and have 5 of them, awesome. But unless you have a big income producing job, you're not getting to the point where you're going to pay off 5 assets in 5 years, unless you're buying in really cheap markets. Cassidy Ironman, W2 question. What's the best value a project manager in a tech company can provide? As a PM at a new company that has never had the role, I want to be awesome. Cassidy, it's a great question. The best ones I ever worked with in my career were the ones that asked me. They said, hey, so new project manager here, I would like to understand what makes your projects go the best. How can I be the biggest asset to you? And if they say, just do it the way we do it. Okay, I'll just do it the way we do it. Because you can say, hey, I can bring a lot of ideas to the table, but I'd like to understand, what do you think for what we are implementing and what we are managing? What do you think is best? And I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Lars, I'm a banking nerd and a poker nerd. I know that you're a banking nerd, and that was a lot of fun, Lars. I won't lie. That was a really good time. I enjoyed those banking conversations with you. That was really good. Soon I will be a nerd in all 3. I love it. I love it. Can you get insurance for an LLC? Yep. Yes, Dylan, you can. Tim L. Cost seg is when you buy the original asset. If you remodel, tell your CPA what you spend on the money, and you're doing your own cost seg. Yep. Yes, but if it's a rehab, you're going to get depreciation over 27 and a half years. Yep. Or no, if it's gone down as a rehab, if it's gone down as a repair, then it's different. But again, not a CPA. Not being able to figure out a percent from 100 is wild. No kidding. It was astonishing. Yeah. Dylan, could you time cost seg to make property seem like it makes more money? Not saying I would do that, like before a sell to make NOI better. Could you time cost seg to make property? I don't know. I wouldn't. Doesn't sound like something I'd want to do. Yeah. Cassie made an offer on a foreclosure fourplex in rough shape. I love that. Was going to be a seller finance until I could refinance. What they were asking would never refinance for. Stuck to my guns. Going to offer again in a few weeks. See if they bite then. I love it. You have a number in mind. You know what number works. You work that number. Dylan, how much depreciation recapture? Is there a formula? Yes, there is a formula. Drop out, retire early. Love that. I'm a tool bag. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. Lots of tool bags here. We're workers. Dylan, how should determine expenses if all they have is rent roll? Yeah, you need to get expenses, dude. You got to get expenses. I mean, if it's a 16 unit, there's definitely house panels. You need a copy of those electric bills. You need a copy of any expenses that they've had on the property, whether it was a roof or heating systems. How do they heat everything? There's a million things there. There's a million things there. If they don't have any expenses, all they provide you is rent roll, then that is not telling you the story. You've got to have their expenses because I promise there are some. All-nighter header. Leverage is like fire. It can burn the house down or heat it to comfort. Just a tool either way. True story. Dylan McMahon. How did you keep track of finances starting off? A spreadsheet. Just a spreadsheet. That's it. I did a spreadsheet until we were about 50 units. Had I had it to do over again, I would have gone to a property management system at probably 10 if I had it to do over again. I'll definitely be hopping in your course after I finish multifamily strategy. Dylan, would love to have you. Boot camps are starting in a week, so would love to have you in those because we only do a couple of those a year. We're doing 2 right now, and then we're going to do probably another one at the end of the year. I haven't really figured that out yet, but we're only doing a couple right now. Drop out and retire early. Thanks for asking, Mr. King Leverage. You have no idea what my leverage is. LOL, I own 6 houses, 100% paid off, 100% debt free, and that's including my personal house. I'm actually Dave's #1 student of all time. Congratulations. Have you ever considered doing clean and sober living homes? Nope. That's great. I'm not the king of leverage by any stretch. I own only 50%. I have 50% LTV in my portfolio, and 6 houses. Well, that's a nice income. That's a fraction. I don't care what market you're in. That's a minuscule fraction of what my income is for my assets. So I like to use debt. You don't. That's okay. And here's the best part. I own 6 houses almost paid off too. I just have 45 others that have debt on them. So would my prices be cheaper if I bulk buy from you? They don't get a whole lot cheaper, honestly, Dylan. That's why I'm telling you. You already get the bulk price because I'm buying in bulk as the dealer. So because I'm buying in bulk as the dealer, I'm not like a retail cabinet shop that squeezes the buyers. I'm doing this as a service to my students because I know that the most expensive thing they can replace in the house is usually a kitchen. And so I try and pass that on to people. So I'm already getting the buying. I'm already getting the money because we already do so many kitchens. So if you bought $100,000, literally, if you bought $100,000 worth of cabinets, it saves like 1%. It's not worth doing based on how far into the discount I already am. That's where the value is. So you don't need to buy in bulk. You can buy 4 and that's more than enough. The only thing that saves you on is shipping. It's the only thing it saves you on. Wealth building journey. Drop out and retire early. Hey, so this is Matt's channel, not yours. Be respectful. Or you'll be shown the virtual door. See, you got to watch out. You bust me up. Love you, brother. Love you too. Listen, I'm excited that you got 6 paid off. That's awesome. I think that's great. I really do. But I've got almost 6 paid off too. And I've got 45 others that aren't, but they all throw off a massive amount of cash flow. I have is it wrong that I have a building that throws off $18,000 a month of cash flow with an $8,000 mortgage? It's $10,000 a month on one building. I like having debt on that building. I bought really, really, really cheap debt. So I like having debt. Dropout, that's impressive. Did you acquire them all through transactions or were any gifted? Are they below or above national median house price? Great question, Hyder. Let's see, Sam Farho. If house has only frames, would doing this sequence make sense? Roof, exterior, security, windows, plumbing, electrical, insulate, interior flooring. Any caveats? So basically it's framed, but it's not finished on the inside. You always do roof first. You always do roof and exterior first. Roof, exterior, windows. That's your shell. That's what you call your shell. Once you get on the inside of the house, then it's rough electrical, rough plumbing. All of that then gets inspected. Then I'm doing insulation that gets inspected. Then I do sheetrock, and then I do all the finish trim and putting in all the cabinets and things like that. So that's typically the process. That's the process that you're going to have. What it's easy to do is follow the inspection process. So the inspection process is that exactly. It is frame. Well, first it's if you're doing ground up, it's a foundation, then it's frame, then it's closing it up, which is siding, windows, and roof. That's another set of inspections. And then it's the ones that I said, which is then it's rough electrical, rough plumbing, and then it's insulation. All those are 3 separate inspections. Then it's sheetrock, trim out, kitchens, and then you're basically then you're going for final inspection after all the fixtures are in. And fixtures can mean electrical fixtures as well as plumbing fixtures. Yep, great question. Lars Nielsen, Matt, I am doing a brief for Navy Reserves on how to use the VA loan to build wealth. Then in the brief, I state my goal is to have 20 million in debt and then tell them the power of 30-year fixed rate debt. It's exactly right. The challenge with 30-year debt for 20 million is you're probably buying really expensive homes, but there's a way to get there. With working with the banks that I work with, guess what? I get 30-year fixed rate debt on any residential size assets. Let's see, 10, 16. All right, so I got about 10 minutes left. SK, with the number of properties you own, the estate taxes your kids will pay far in the future may be big, right? Nope. How are you approaching that? Give something along the way. So nope, I have them in a trust. Yep, I have them in a trust. And the big thing is yeah, so no. Dylan McMahon, should I watch your YouTube videos before I get into the boot camp, or just boot camp now Q2 where there are multiple prices in your course and mentorship? Yeah, so the best option, Dylan, honestly, is course and boot camp. If you need me after that, we have one-on-one time that's available. But I recommend the boot camp is a lot like their mentorship, but we only allow 18 people in a boot camp. That's it. 18 people are allowed to sign up for a given boot camp. And so that might get a little bit different this time, only because we're allowing for 2 boot camps at the same time and for anybody to attend either boot camp. But yeah, that's your best bet. And then if you still need my time after that, then I'm available one-on-one. Chris Webb, hello from Central Virginia. Hello, Chris Webb. It was great to meet you and your wife. I made it. I have one class ending today and another beginning, so I will have some grading to do later. Chris, it was great to meet you and your wife at the event. Really excited about your guys' journey and what you guys are doing. Drop out retirement. I don't have to qualify anyone, LOL. I do clean and sober living homes, and they deal with all of those landlording headaches. Good. Awesome. That's great. There's so much I could teach you, Grasshopper. Oh, thank you. I mean, you're Dave's #1 student. You can stick with him. I'm good. I mean, could you teach me how to buy something debt-free? I know how to do that. Write a big fat check. And I don't feel like I could learn a whole lot from somebody that has that strategy. I don't agree with the strategy. And drop out and retire early. Seems like he's plunking out. Doesn't seem like he's actually gonna debate you. Let's see. Ryan Allen had a new tenant move in, and longtime tenants are complaining about smelling the new tenant smoking in a no smoking building. How many complaints until you evict? I don't start with eviction, guys. Ryan, great question. First thing I do is if it's a no smoking building, I post a lease violation. That's the first thing I do. And I don't keep on waiting for complaints. Post a lease violation today. Post it today. Post a lease violation saying, no smoking unit. It's been smelled that you are smoking in the unit. This needs to stop. That's simple. Cassie Ivan, W2 clarification. The company has never had the role. Okay, they hired me as the first ever PM. Okay. When I ask them, they don't know and don't have a process and are trying to figure it out. Okay, great. So here's what you need to ask them. You need to set up a time where you ask them, why did you hire for the role? Right? You need to understand why they hired for the role, because they perceive that there's a problem with their projects. So why did they hire for the role? Number one. Number two is, who are the people that get hurt the most when a project is struggling or not delivered on time? Who's the one who has to deal with the headache? Who's the one that has to deal with the call? I'm sitting down, I'm having a conversation with them and saying, what are the things that I can do to eliminate, to help reduce risk and eliminate those bad phone calls? You're always going to get some, but hopefully we can drastically reduce it. That's what I do. They had to have some sort of a criteria that they used to hire. Let's see. Chris Webb, I lost my voice and caught a cold in Vegas. Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel, my wife. Yep. And I renewed our vows at Vegas drive-thru while there. Very cool. That's awesome. Sounds great. Wealth Building Journey. Millennial Mike, using all caps and those weird emojis clearly give him validation. Once he gets out of line, though, he gets the ban hammer. I know, right? Tim L. Dylan, NOI doesn't include depreciation, so cost seg would not impact. Yeah, true, actually. Yep. I have not considered clean and sober living. Why don't you come on my channel and tell me all about your strategy, and we will see how it sounds. See that? Mike's open to it. Dropout. By the way, I paid off our first 5 houses of $664,000 in 8 short years. Yes, I bought the houses when they were cheap. Okay. So admittedly, your strategy won't work in this market currently. I was just frugal and took money from my side business and killed the debt fast. Yeah, anybody can do that. It's not hard. It's just a decision of whether or not they want to do that. So I would rather own 51 buildings than own 6 paid off. Why? Because I already own almost 6 paid off. Because I used the capital from there, and renters pay my mortgages. And my time in the market beats timing the market all day long. Buying cash in this market doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. No one has $664,000. And clearly the first 5 houses you bought, if it was $664,000 in debt, I can do math really well. Yeah, it's not that much money. To buy 5 houses for $664,000, that's not much. So I'm in an area where a duplex costs $664,000. So to save up $664,000, no. And so you didn't buy them cash. You bought them, had a mortgage on them, and then paid off the debt. I don't know. Seems pretty Swiss cheesy to me. Usama Abdu. Good to have you here in the channel, Usama. I rented out rooms before and have some money saved up to buy a rental property or 2. I like that. However, I really don't like dealing with tenants and dislike drama. Do you think I'm not cut out to be a landlord? Not at all. There's a lot of parts to being a landlord. And so a lot of people that love the asset class and love the compounding interest and capability or compounding values of property and how they appreciate and how rents always go up over a period of 5 years. I think the idea there is there's one part of it that you don't like, and that's what property managers are for. Property managers are there meant to be the buffer. That way you're managing a property manager, not managing tenants. So I don't think that's the case at all. I think that there's still a lot of skills that can be leveraged, right? You could be a great buyer of assets. You could be a great, value evaluator. You could be a great PM when it comes to managing the asset itself, right? And the debt on the asset and how you decorate the asset and the experience that you curate. I would hate to see you lose out on something like that just because you're not good at one facet of it. We talk a lot about that in my course because my course is meant to demystify all of that stuff that people hear from having to deal with tenants. There's a part of that that's really important in dealing with tenants, and there's a part of that that's really important with managing the asset. However, it's really important to be able to manage your asset manager, manage your property manager. And that's a lot of the stuff that I have in the course is if you do these things, you can actually largely PM on your own and still not have to deal with tenants. However, if there is that time where you need to, there certainly is a PM that can do that. So Usama, welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Very good question. I really liked it. Dylan, what system would you recommend at 10 units for finances? I've looked into AppFolio and you need 50 units. The one that I actually like is DoorLoop. I use DoorLoop. I looked at AppFolio and DoorLoop. I like DoorLoop for smaller landlords. I think that there's a ton of functionality there for enterprise landlords, so you can grow into it, but they do another one. Yep, they do another one. Drop out and retire early. Good job at 50% leverage. Yeah, well, you said I was king of leverage, and you just didn't know what you were talking about, so it's okay. Master Coach University. I live 1.5 hours south of Georgia state line. Yep.
Should I potentially consider buying there due to Florida tax insurance costs? Or is that an overreaction? No, I think it's not an overreaction. I think if you bought something in 30 days, it's an overreaction. What I would be doing is I would be building a rent box. I would be looking at the rents there. I'd be picking a certain area. Why are you picking that area? Right. So any of you Georgia investors here on the channel, just jump in, give them some feedback. But yeah, I think it's an overreaction when people do things quickly. I think it's prudent to do research on other areas where you can maybe get better. Oh, I meant softest poker games, not safest. Got it. Yeah, soft. That would be the table that I would be at for sure. SK, being long-term buy hold investor, why does SEF bonus depreciation make sense? What's the point of accelerating debt early? Growth. And I can offset. The biggest thing is offsetting my W-2 taxes. I can offset that tax burden. I'm better off paying. I can pay with cheaper money in the future, right? Money's always getting cheaper overall. Look at the curve. And so my preference is to always have more cash than I'm working with. I eventually will owe debt, sure, or owe taxes. That's fine. But as far as I can kick it down the road, the better off I am, right? It's the American way. All-nighter hider, dropout. Like I typed earlier, investing is very personal, but you have calculated where you could be had you used leverage wisely to your advantage. Another good question. I'm interested in the answer. Millennial Mike. So on the left side of your keyboard is a button called caps lock. Why don't you press it? Second, you can scream your story in the comments section and get yourself banned, or you can come on my channel. Yeah, dude, dropout. Go on Mike's channel. He's nice. You should go on his channel. I'm doing great, better than most. Thanks. I mean, again, this is what we teach though, but I started by acquiring assets with 3.5% down an FHA loan, and it worked out okay. Worked out pretty well. So, Dylan McMahon, quoting Christian strategy is to hammer debt. Yep, after hitting a goal. How does your plan differ? How would you recommend deciding what would be best for me? I think it's a conversation. I think it's one of the things that we talk about in the boot camps is it's 18 other real estate minds sharing conversation, hanging out with each other. And so I think it's really, from that perspective, that's what I love about it, is that it's you finding the right strategy based on things that you've heard and how it makes you feel. And, for dropout and retire early, I don't begrudge him. He's got 6 or 5 fully owned houses. That's great. That's awesome. $664,000 he paid down in debt. They're probably worth $1 million now. That's great. It's $1 million, but my net worth isn't measured in 7 figures. It's closer to 9 than it is to 8, or closer to 9 than it is to 7, or will be soon. Think about that. Like debt is, and the thing is like, I'm not looking at net worth. I'm looking at creation of cash flow. So yeah, I have some that are almost paid off, but that's because I've been in the game for 20 years. And so I remember what it was like to start at, that's how I write myself the perspective, right? Is like 3.5% down. 3.5% down is how I bought most of my properties, except for the investment ones where I wasn't getting liar loans. I was paying 20%. So I was paying 20% to buy most of my assets, 20% down. And I sold out of those assets because I bought in the wrong area and I bought at the wrong time, but the bigger issue was I bought in the wrong area. Timing, here's the crazy thing. Bought those for $350. One just sold down the street from where I was. 18 years later. I bought that for $350. I'd have 20 years of pay down, so I might owe high ones on it. And something in that neighborhood just sold for $650. My place was nicer. Right? So I sold at a time where I was like, you know what? I got to get out of this asset because I have a bunch of other stuff over here that I want to do. And so I would be saying, most people would sit there and lament and say, oh, I have 400 grand on the table. Nope. Because I took the 80K that I made off that unit and I bought one other asset, and then I refied that asset and I bought 3 other assets. And so that asset had babies, baby assets, asset babies is better. So that's what we're going for. So yeah, Dylan, to answer your question, it really does differ. It's really about hearing all the different strategy and seeing what fits for you. And as far as hammering debt down, I think the difference is that they are very often they give up equity positions in their deals. And that's not a bad thing. But very often they're having to take equity partners out. And so that's where they're hammering down that debt, right? because I don't have to focus on hammering down debt that's at 3.75% 30-year fixed or 4% 30-year fixed. Why would I want to hammer that debt down? I want to keep that debt as long as I possibly can because it's cheap, right? Think about that. My mortgage payment, with the exception of like taxes and insurance going up a little bit, my mortgage payment isn't going to change for 30 years. Look at what rents have done just in the last 30 years. Look, in my area, rents went from, in the last 30 years, went from $550 for a 2-bedroom to almost $2,000 for a 2-bedroom. $1,500. Now imagine it's a duplex. Now I'm making $3,000 a month. I was making money at $500 a month. Think about that. I was making money at $500 a month. Now I'm making, how much money am I making at $3,000 more a month on a duplex, 2 bedrooms, right? That's where time, watch uneducated economists, understand the dollar, understand money, understand the monetary system. Those things are all huge. Let's see. Master Coach University, always do your due diligence. Make sure you know the local laws, rules, and regulations before investing. Absolutely. Master Coach has done an amazing job. They've got a few units. You'll see him in the boot camp. Chester, I think you're in the boot camp as well. Lars. Matt, Dave Ramsey is great for those that live in fear. I know I used to be that guy, and man, it has held me back. Once you learn cash flow versus 30-year fixed rate debt, you're good. True, that's the best equation. Lars, I think you summed it up perfectly. That is the best equation. Yep. All-nighter. Great comment, Lars. So true. Knowledge sets you free. So true. Dylan, more tax questions. I can't answer tax questions. Supposed to not answer any of that stuff because it's legal advice and financial advice. We talk about it in our groups, but that's because it's not live on the internet. All right, guys. Let's see. Drop out and retire early. You do have a ton of excellent advice. I like how you know taxes and 1031 stuff. I just did my first 1031 and sold one and bought 2 out of state. I just learned the fun part of redepreciating. Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. And see, the really cool thing is when you add debt to that equation, it gets really awesome. Dropout. It just does. It gets really, really awesome. And again, it depends on what part of life you're in, and how much you want to live off of. All due respect, I don't want to live off of $5,000 a month. Coach Craig did an amazing job showing how little you actually need in real estate to be able to live debt, to be able to live a good life and reduce your debt and then eventually live debt free. It's awesome. But for me, I just wanted a bigger life. I wanted to be able to do more stuff. I've got 4 kids and I want them in the schools I want them in, and I want them in the programs that I want them in. And for me, the only way to do that is having significant means. And so I can't get the same significant means off of 4 units that I can get off of 40 or 140 that I have. So I hope you guys, debate, Millennial Mike. He put his link in there. Just respond to Millennial Mike. If you respond to Millennial Mike, he will absolutely help you out. He will definitely help you. And you guys, I would love to see that debate. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to go spend time with my family. We did 2 hours today. I greatly appreciate you guys. I'm going to do one last question from Usama. Drop out and retire early. What years did you make the initial purchase on your properties? That's a good question. I bet it was a long time ago. It's kind of impractical to do that now in this market, to buy cash. You do have to buy with leverage. And then the key is just not getting over leveraged. That's the real key. It really is. But we did house hacking, so we made it the place we lived as well. For those of you who don't know my journey. Yeah, 9 house hacks, 13 years. That's how we did it. So I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. It was awesome spending time with you guys, meeting many of you at the conference. Really appreciate that. And look forward to an amazing week. When I get back, not this coming week, but the following week after that, tons of content. We actually walk into building permits. We should be getting those in the first couple of weeks on Mac to be able to start the jail project, which I'm super excited to share with you guys. But yeah, hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. And just, have an awesome week and enjoy the journey, guys. Enjoy the journey. And remember, you're not behind. You're infinitely further ahead than everybody else who hasn't started, but it's our responsibility to help those guys who haven't started. And when I say guys, you know what I mean? But it's our job to help those people that do want to get started. by sharing our knowledge with them. And so I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome week. And I really appreciate all the participation today. And yeah, I'm going to go hang out with my kiddos. Talk soon, guys. Take care. As I always say, Lumberjack Landlord tries to bring you the best content I possibly can. Please make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And you know what? Let's try something new this week. Forward this to somebody who's considering just hanging out on the live stream. They don't have to talk. They can just hang out. And Martin Properties, I just saw that message. Great to meet you at the event as well. It was so nice meeting all of you. I'm honored to be a part of the community, and I'm really happy to be here. Dylan, it was great having you to the show. Usama, great having you to the show as well. Dropout, great having you as well. Fantastic to meet you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in ones in the future. Guys, have a fantastic week. Take care.